All right, Fitty, good job. Yes, yes, please call me Jennifer, and you know about it. Thanks for pretending while we're here. How about take the other out. Did you have some more, please?
I have to rush, I can't hear.
No, don't hurt her on the first day. Thank you for coming this evening. Mr. Hobbs will deliver the invocation.
Good evening, everyone. Some of my brother directors would say the best part of autumn is football. I want to pose a couple questions. Number one, what is the most important position on the football team? Oh, yeah. Everyone, quarterback, he runs the team, everything. Well, but wait, we need the running backs and stuff to make the touchdowns, right? Oh, but wait a second, we need the linemen to protect that precious quarterback, right? But then there's the coach that puts it all together, right? I propose to you the most important person on the field is the referee. The referee administers the rules and makes the game happen, protects the players, makes sure that the game football happens on the field. We as board directors, we've been looking at ourselves the past couple months of our roles and what is our responsibilities. What are we supposed to do? Another thing I have is being a parent. And one of the things I've learned as a parent is that I diminish as a person. I'm no longer Kevin. I'm Bethy's dad. You see how that happens? Board members, it's not supposed to be me. Look at me. We're doing something else for somebody. I mean, just because there's some Philadelphia team playing tonight against some Washington team, nobody's turning on the TV set tonight to watch the guys in black and white. They're there watching their players. They're rooting for their special team. As board members, it's them that we're here for. I want to root for them. I want to see them succeed. I want to see them make the touchdowns. It's not about us. It's about them. Let's help them to become what they need to be.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Cuff, please.
Oh, and if I leave early, it's not because of the game?
It's because of the referees. I'm going to see the referees.
We got you. We got you.
We're early because of the game.
Mrs. Fitty? Mrs. Fitty? Ms. Richardson?
Here.
Mr. Roy? Mr. Hobbs?
Here.
Mrs. Summel?
Here.
Mr. Wright? Here. Ms. Williams?
Present.
Mr. Cave?
I am here.
Ms. Hall?
I'm here.
Ms. Summerlin?
Here.
And a warm welcome to our newest member, Ms. Stewart.
Here.
Okay, first up. All right, great. I get through my school board celebrations, and we had a lot of them this month.
Didn't even move my head.
No, I do not. Mr. Hobbs is going to drive the truck. First, and most importantly, September 28th, I got a phone call from Rafi that I will never forget. And that was telling us that we won our Supreme Court hearing 5-2. We'll acknowledge
for retention of judges.
I'll acknowledge the person that helped us through this process a couple minutes down the pipe. Next, Mr. Hobbs. Congratulations to Brenda McPherson Fry at Ardmore Avenue and Colwyn Library. She's gotten over $4,000 from Donors Choose, 15 Chromebooks, Osbot, Dot and Dashes, and books. So thank you, Ms. McPherson Fry. Ms. Tischler is also on Donors Choose, and she got around $1,000 worth of biology hands-on labs. So thank you, Mrs. Tischler, too. Miss Kate O'Boyle, also at Ardmore, got a grant from Whole Foods to have a couple more vertical gardens. And next one, she also got a $2,500 grant from Nike to encourage our 3rd and 4th graders to run in the morning. They got all sorts of nice tchotchke too. Next up, Good Kids. Cyprus Student of the Month for September, Deborah Sombre, and Kyren King at Green Avenue. So those are our Patriots of the Month, and I just wanted to give a shout out to them. Teachers of the Month at Penwood High School, Jonathan Rapp and Meredith Gomez. So thank you to those teachers too. Students of the Month, Nadia Larity and Gerald Orgy got Upper Darby Lansdowne Rotary Club Students of the Month for October. So we look forward to them. So, you know, we spend a lot of time around this table lamenting not so great things. This is awesome. This was hanging in the high school when I went there this weekend for a forum on education equity. And those are all plus numbers, so that is great stuff. We're not there yet, not saying that in the least bit, but these are good positive numbers that we should reflect and get some joy out of to weather us through the next fuss, let's say. The college fair was awesome. If you had a chance to attend, about 520 students, 52 parents, it was packed. Probably the most successful college fair I have had the pleasure of attending. Thank you to Miss Libby Brown for pulling that off, and the entire staff at the high school for pulling that off. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock, Kerr Field, the boys soccer team enters the playoffs. Penwood versus Downingtown East. We had a very successful season of 13-2-3. Come out and support the guys. They're doing a great job. Girls volleyball won their first matches of the year. These are your seniors. For some of them, it was the first match that they won in their career on volleyball. Wins have not been good to come by. Congratulations to the person I call Little Pop, Coach Sarah Poplowski. 7 in a row. In case you've been under a rock, we have won 7 in a row. Last game is at home at Kerr Field, Saturday at 1 o'clock versus Chester. We win that, we get Del Val. That would be the first time in, I believe, about 7 years. If you haven't gone to a game, go. They are so much fun for $5. Lots of fun to be had, lots of good camaraderie, lots of cheering, lots of band, lots of cheerleaders. It's all good. FAFSA. Next Wednesday, November 1st, 6:30 to 7:30 in the Green Avenue Library. You can come with all your questions. You can come knowing nothing. You don't need to know anything. Please come, find out how to fill out these forms so your child can get some of the money that is left for children to make college more affordable. Don't be shy. Thanks, that's all for me. Chester's game's here.
Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Saturday, 1 o'clock. I'm sorry, game here, Kerr Field, Saturday, 1 o'clock. Come. Thank you. Thanks for all correcting me. Go on. Ms. Harbert?
No, you're,
Oh, oath of office.
no.
We're gonna do it.
Are you gonna move it down? The damn thing?
It's right there. Number 6. Dan's moving to 9. Is there,
I don't know. Where's the other?
who's got the oath of office for me?
Actually, it's doing, it is,
Oh, Dan is doing the oath of office.
no,
No, it's number 5.
he is to speak now.
Go for it, Dan. It's all yours.
Can I stand there so I'm not talking
Yes,
back?
yes.
Okay.
You can move anywhere you want. Sorry for the confusion.
So I'm Dan Acklesberg, attorney at the Public Interest Law Center, as you all know, and I assume as most of the community knows. In 2014, this school district, along with 5 other school districts and a number of families, including a family from this district, the Millers, and the NAACP and the Pennsylvania Association of Rural and Small Schools came together to file a lawsuit against the state for how it's funding public schools under the state education clause and the equal protection provisions of our Constitution. As you also likely know, our case was dismissed in the Commonwealth Court fairly quickly thereafter. We appealed to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and about a year ago at this time, we had an oral argument before the Supreme Court. The marching band of this district was there. It was a celebration. It took a while, but we found out a few weeks ago that we won, which is great news. Yeah, it's good news. What it really means is we get to have our day in court. Okay, so it doesn't mean that funding is fixed in the school district, but in a 5-2 decision, the Supreme Court said that courts have to have a role in enforcing deprivations of constitutional rights, and they also said very specifically, which I think has some particular resonance in this district, where the community has voted for tax increases a fair amount, which is that the illusion of local control cannot explain the disparities that we see from district to district, which I think is really important for a district like this one that has done just about everything it can, I think, to raise funds for its schools. And the Supreme Court said, ultimately, if we prove our case, this is the responsibility of the state. And calls to local control are not good enough to explain the disparities that we see in our districts. So the next step is we go back to Commonwealth Court and all the small matter of proving our case. We expect a trial. There's a couple things that could happen that could slow the process down. They could file different sort of motions to dismiss our case. It's very unlikely to be successful, I think it's fair to say. So we would expect to go into discovery and to have a trial. I can't give you an exact date for that. We probably in the next few weeks will have a scheduling conference in the Commonwealth Court, the place where we originally filed the case, and sometime within the next year probably we will go to trial to prove our case. It's a good day. It was a good day for Pennsylvania school children, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, so we know we're going to court, but are you working on a remedy? Because when we win, I've been at this 30 years, and I knew Pars v. Casey when we got thrown out, and that was the end game, right? So when we're in court, or even before we get in court, are we working on a remedy so that we could do perhaps a pre-trial settlement? Or have something to hand to the judge so he doesn't feel like he has to come up with a desegregation plan and monitor it for the next 30 years?
So, practically speaking, in a legislature that can't even pass a budget with a minimal increase for public schools, I don't think a pretrial settlement is at all foreseeable, particularly when we think that the underfunding in the state is in the range of the billions of dollars. In terms of a remedy, we actually will not propose a specific remedy at trial because the ultimate job to fix it is the legislature's job. And so what we have told our allies and what we tell the public and what we tell people who care about this issue, at least initially, the most likely outcome for a win is that the court is going to declare the system unconstitutional and declare the legislature to fix it. Now that could be a range of how strong that decision is, right? Mm-hmm. But then it's really up to not just us as lawyers, it's up to us as a Commonwealth to force the legislature to understand that this is more than just a legal issue. And so, we see the lawsuit as sort of one tool in the toolbox of advocacy, and certainly a court decision saying the system is unconstitutional will be a powerful tool, but that alone will not solve the problem. And there really is no purely legal solution. The case will help, but we still really need members of the public to push for a solution.
But here's my fear, is that we've been pushing the legislature for a solution without the legal hammer of unconstitutionality for decades. and we see how they responded to that. They fund it, they don't fund it, they fund it through money, all of that nonsense. I have no hope that this legislature, or any in the near future, will be able to craft an elegant, fair formula. What I'm saying is, if our coalition, including the lawyers, because you have to be part of this, fashions something that we can make them think is their idea and is fair, can we start working on that? Because I don't want all deliberate speed to be 60 years.
I share your concern. Outside of the legal case, we are working on advocacy strategies all the time to get them to increase funding, and we think that the system is underfunded by a couple of $2 billion. I know in the Campaign for Fair Education funding, there is some talk about whether the state should, in the meantime, start a costing out study or another costing out study, which we got in 2007. What we don't want is any sort of search for a plan or search for a remedy to slow down the case to be used as an excuse to slow down the case. So we are going to move as fast as possible to get the system declared unconstitutional. We as advocates, in my organization, for example, we are certainly working, we think, to, in coalitions to try to build some pressure. But the fact is it doesn't really exist at the moment in Harrisburg. But I just to be, I just want to be very cautious about this. It is very unlikely that at the outset, a Commonwealth Court judge is going to say to the legislature, you need to allocate $3 billion for public schools. They're going, practically speaking, it's going to take a big leap for the court to declare the system of education funding in this state unconstitutional. It's going to be a brave act. It's going to be a brave act. And eventually, if they don't fix it, we would be back, right? We would be back. The court would be asked to maintain jurisdiction. But again, that is something where really everybody is going to have to pressure them. There just is you see this from states across the country where there's been similar suits. The pure legal solution is not an easy one.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Anyone from the public have a question for Dan? All right, Dan, thank you. Whoa, don't move. So Dan, this is a significant recognition presented to the Public Interest Law Center for the organization's tireless support for fairness and equity in education. The Public Interest Law Center and the Education Law Center represented William Penn School District and other plaintiffs in the lawsuit William Penn School District et al. Versus Pennsylvania Department of Education et al. The lawsuit was filed in 2014 and charges that Pennsylvania legislators have failed to adequately and equitably fund public education. Accepting the award is Dan Urovic Ecclesburg, Esquire. Those on this board who have been here since 2014 and have watched Dan be with us for a long time, and we're super appreciative of your efforts and your firm's efforts.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Next, we get to give the oath of office to a newly elected school board representative, Nashere Stewart. Stay there, I'm coming towards you. Welcome. Oh, welcome.
Do you have family here?
No.
No, you didn't do it?
All right, oh, awesome. Okay, so this is a repeat after me scenario. All right, I'll chunk in. I, Nashere Stewart,
Raise your right hand.
yes,
I, Nashere Stewart,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution and bylaws
and the Constitution and bylaws
of the William Penn School District,
of the William Penn School District,
that I will discharge the duties of my office
that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity,
with fidelity,
and that I will not knowingly receive, directly or indirectly,
and that I will not knowingly receive, directly or indirectly,
any money or valuable thing
any money or valuable thing
for the performance or non-performance
for the performance or non-performance
of any act or duty
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office
pertaining to my office,
other than the compensation allowed by law.
other than the compensation allowed by law.
Congratulations. She signs, I sign, we all sign. There you go, you sign. One copy? Two? Yeah, yep. Great, and one more. Thank you. Great. All right, you're all set, welcome aboard. Yes. Oh. Come on, Dave.
Thank you. Congratulations.
All righty. Lots of moving around today. Ms. Harbert, your superintendent's report?
Thank you. Before I go with my report, I do want to say, I remember that, Ms. Hummel, you were the one who really encouraged us to bring on student, as members of the board, and I want to say thank you. I think it's been very successful, and I'm hoping that the students have really appreciated the role that you encouraged us to create. So, thank you.
Put it on your resume.
So, good evening. As Ms. Hoff told you, we have several things to celebrate as we continue to move forward in this district, in the William Penn School District. Last Wednesday, superintendents were given the opportunity to preview their school's school performance profiles prior to it being released to the public. They will be released probably within the next week and a half to the public, but we were allowed to preview them. Just so happened that that was the day that we were having a principals meeting. And I was very excited and went in to say to Mr. McKay, we're changing the agenda and we're going to look at this. So that the chart that you saw in Ms. Hoff's report from the high school was what the principals worked on that day. They worked on comparing where they were, the school was in 2016 compared to where they are now in 2017. So 7 of our school building level academic scores increased from 2016. At Colwyn, there was a 10.9 point increase, and at Alden, a 23-point increase. The other increases at the other schools range from a 0.7 to a 6.5. This year, the district will have 2 schools with a school performance profile score of over 70. A school with a score of 70 or above is considered proficient by state standards. Our value-added growth in English language arts is significant in 8 of our schools. Our middle school demonstrated growth in English language arts for the first time in 4 years. We encourage you to come to the Education Committee in December, Mr. Wright, in December, not in November, to see and hear the details on the school performance profiles. I attended the community forum, Take Action and Power, Saturday, held in our high school auditorium. One of our former students, Amira Miller, and a current student, Ashel Ortiz, spoke eloquently on funding inequalities and the fair funding lawsuit win at the Supreme Court level. We are hosting another event to celebrate this win, so please join us on Wednesday, October the 25th, 9 a.m. at Penwood High School, Green Avenue campus, on the front steps if it's not raining, inside if it's raining, to celebrate the tireless work that made that win possible. We'll be joined by students, parents, school communities, advocates, and elected officials for a read-in of the excerpts from the official ruling. Also, thank you to the athletic department and everyone that could get help on those 2 Friday nights under the lights football games. I know it was a lot of work, but you made it look as if we have been doing it for years. It went very well. I want to say thank you again. Jennifer told you about our boys soccer. Please, if you can, join us tomorrow, Tuesday at Kerr Field at 7 p.m. We're getting a lot of use out of those lights. So the tickets will be $5 and you can purchase those. Just a reminder to parents, report cards will be distributed on November 15th. At the elementary level, it will be included in your child's Wednesdays folder and mailed at the secondary levels. Parent-teacher conferences are scheduled for November 21st and 22nd. Please sign up with your school and/or your teacher for a conference time. At this time, you will be able to discuss with the teacher your child's progress and learn more regarding your child's grades. Together, as partners, we will continue to see our district progress in student academic achievement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harbert. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Moved.
Second.
Any comments from the Board of School Board Directors? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion to approve the minutes of business meeting of September 25th, 2017.
Moved.
Second.
Any comments from the Board of School Board Directors? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Thank you. Motion to approve the minutes of the committee meeting on October 16, 2017.
Second.
Any questions from the Board of School Board Directors? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Thank you. Remarks by student representatives, the best part of the meeting. Ms. Lowe, you're up.
Hello, everyone. I just want to thank our administration for their continental breakfast that you guys gave for sophomore class. It was really good. We had our PSATs 2 weeks ago. I actually decided to take it a year early for preparation. It was a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it again next year. We had our speech and debate meet. Our first meet was last week, and unfortunately we could not attend the college fair because of that, but it was still really good. The only thing I really want to say mainly today is this year our library is only open at Green Avenue Monday and Tuesday, which is kind of a bummer because as you know, for like the honors kids, the majority of our school that likes to study and that chooses a quiet environment. The library is somewhere that we all typically tend to go. And only having the library open for 2 days a week highly prevents us from having somewhere to go. So I offered perhaps a temporary solution because I was talking to Mr. Downey and he's saying that they're trying to figure out if there's a way we can open the library up for more days during the week. And maybe an alternative could be if we can allow some students to stay behind in certain teachers' classrooms till 3, just to open up a classroom until 3 o'clock. And that would offer us during Wednesdays and Thursdays somewhere we could go. And a lot of teachers now have Chromebooks, so it'll be even better because now we can use computers as well. So I was just putting that out there as something to look over. But that's it.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I like it when people have solutions.
Ms. Nashri?
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be here, and I'm looking forward to participating as a student representative. So far, I have a few ideas on how I think we could bring our school closer together. I was thinking that maybe if there were some sort of program in which there were a few student counselors and other students would come to them for advice. Nothing that's too serious, but any educational concerns, problems with friends, or maybe even with family. I think that it's easier for students to talk to someone their own age who might be going through the same thing or has gone through before, and they know how it feels and they can relate to it a little bit better. Another thing that I would really love to start is a student care program. So a group of students would go over to a nearby hospital and they could play games or even mentor some of the child cancer patients, because I think it would provide them with some comfort and kind of get their minds off of their current situation. And I think it also be beneficial to the students because it builds character and teaches them compassion. Because in the hallways you hear so much of, oh, I don't have this, or oh, I want this. But if they get a first-hand look at someone their own age, or maybe younger, or maybe older, and all they want is to not have to deal with that, it really changes their perspective on life and what's important. And I think it's a wonderful experience to have and be a part of.
Great
Great.
ideas.
Thank you. Welcome aboard. Thank you. You're good. All right. Public comments regarding agenda items. Anyone? Hearing none. Any communications, Mr. Coe?
There are no communications.
Okay. Committee reports. Ms. Boykins, Community Relations, please.
A1, American Education Week. A2, PA Supreme Court ruling and school funding lawsuit. A3, Guidance Department hosts annual FAFSA form completion night, which I'm definitely going to talk about. It's my piece, I love this. The Penn High School Guidance Department with assistance from representatives from PHEAA will hold an annual FAFSA form completion night on Wednesday, November 1st, 2017, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. The event will be held in the Media Center at Penwood High School Green Avenue building, or Green Avenue campus. The purpose of the event is to assist Penwood High School seniors and their parents in completing and submitting the FAFSA form, free application for federal student aid, form for financial aid for college. Both the student and the parent must attend and bring their 2016 W-2 forms and completed tax return forms. Both student and parent must have an FSA ID, which is a username and password used to log in to many of the Department of Education websites. It is also the electronic signature needed in order to electronically sign a FAFSA form. It will take 1 to 3 days for the Social Security Administration to verify your information and allow the use of the FSA ID. Visit the Federal Student Aid website to apply for the FSA ID. Parent, guardian, and students should review the FSA website, www.fasfa.ed.gov, prior to the workshop. You can contact Guidance Department, and also there's information down there with phone number, and also Elizabeth Brown, Director of Guidance Department, and her email address is listed. A4, Lansdowne Upper Darby Rotary Club October Student of the Month Awards. William Penn School District to host annual Toys for Tots for A5. And A6, we had a summary of recent Community Relations Committee meeting. Just one thing for the A3 for the FAFSA, it's just very important for parents to jump on this ahead of time. I always stress this and urge this. I think that parents can't fall short with this. The reason why is we always see a lot of children filling out their own FAFSA forms, and it becomes very difficult. And I want to say this, parents, do not be afraid of the FAFSA form. I know it is a lot of financial information, and sometimes parents have issues with regard to tax information, but there's always help out there. So I have to stress that, because what happens is our kids miss out on money, and that money gets taken very quickly. So it's very important for you to not be intimidated by the FAFSA form. I know it's a lot, but at least take the time and email the guidance counselor, talk to school board directors, anybody that you feel comfortable with talking to about the FAFSA form, because it is so imperative for our seniors to get that information in before the deadline. Also, A6, our community relations meeting was awesome. Those who missed it, I'm watching you out there. You need to come to the meetings. I want everybody to come to the community relations meeting. It's so important. Right now, we are working on a few different topics. We're working on a community job fair, a senior citizens prom event. So our first thing that we're going to tackle is the community job fair. I came up with the idea because I feel like if our community is lacking jobs, they're not going to feel so great about certain things. So if we help our community get more jobs, and whatever the job may be, but we talked about even William Penn School District coming out in a job fair to explain what type of jobs we have open and available to the public as well. I always say if you look good, you feel good, and being employed helps you look good and feel good. So our next community relations meeting is November 8th, and we'll be discussing, the topic that we'll be discussing is our community job fair, and also a community relations charter plan was given out that night as well to discuss the ways that we're going to communicate to our community. So please come on out. We had pizza, you know, if that draws you in. Anything else you want to eat, let me know. We'll just bring it on. But I need the community support in this. So November 8th at 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boykin.
I second the motion item.
Any conversation about A1?
Oh, yes. A1.
Hearing none? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? All right, thank you very much. Mr. Wright, Education Committee, please.
Yes, B1 homebound instruction, B2 termination of homebound instruction, B3 disciplinary action, B4 disciplinary action, which I'd like to comment on later. B5 Penwood Middle School student trip to Washington, D.C. B6 Penwood High School Green Avenue campus social study trip to Washington, D.C. B7 district-wide comprehensive plan. B8 summary of the recent education meeting. B9 review request for proposal for curriculum review. I also have a question about that as well before we take a vote. Which one is?
This is informational, so there's no vote.
Well,
The rest of it.
But yeah, and I'll second the motion item so we can discuss it.
Okay. Questions from the board, Mr. Wright?
I read the expulsion report.
Right.
I'm not in disagreement about the decision that was made, but what I would like to add, when you look at the report, we expelled the students for 10 days. We suspended students for 10 days, then we expelled them maybe to a year or half a year and provide education services. But when I look at the report, then last night I saw 60 Minutes was over. You look at the situation, and I kept going back and forth to try to find out what did these students major in. So are we providing, what I like to add, along with the students being expelled and providing services for education purposes, is also have counseling. I remember we've done that in the past.
Dr. Bruno?
The students we provide education for while on expulsion are serviced through our cyber program. Their high school counselor or middle school counselor remains active with them throughout the time.
You would address the issue that they wind up being in trouble. That's what I'm asking for, the psychological. I know we have psychologists. Are they addressing that issue?
If you will,
I know you're addressing the education issue, but I'm talking about this, obviously, when you read expulsion, Act 26 is dealing with a weapon. Are we addressing the reason why?
you will see that for both of these expulsions, there was a manifestation determination held for one, and the other one was mandated with the Student Assistance Program survey.
Yeah.
So they were both completed.
I agree with you with the education component.
No,
I'm
that's
talking
not
about-
education, Mr. Wright.
I'm
That
talking
is
about-
psychological.
I'm talking about the psychological component, that you're
And-
monitoring to find out why children have weapons, and hopefully to understand the consequences and go from there and see where it can lead them. Because I was looking to find out what they were majoring in. So we want to hopefully stop this type of behavior. Like I said, I'm not against it, we should expel them, I agree with that, that's the law. But the law was vague, it didn't really talk about the psychological component. I remember when I was teaching, we made sure that happened. So I'm requesting that we do that.
And he's saying that we do that. Do you have another question?
That we do. So, all right, well, I'll meet with you probably in more detail.
Okay.
Okay. The curriculum, report. We voted on that tonight.
No, we're not, it's an informational item.
But we only had 2 requests for proposal?
We only had 2 people respond to our request for proposal. That's correct.
All right, well, I guess I have some concern, but who was on the committee, you know, for selection? And how did they promote this? Who promoted it?
Could you talk to Mr. McKay after this meeting about that?
Yeah, but you're asking us to vote on this.
No, I'm not, it's an informational item.
Yeah.
All right, but when do we vote?
After we get Mr. McKay, when Mr. McKay tells us we're gonna vote.
But are we going to request to find out why we only had 2 proposals? And maybe, you know, extended, you know, do we have a deadline? I'm a little confused.
We did have a deadline. We asked them to have anything in by Friday of last week, and all we got were the 2. The 2 that,
But were they the same 2 we had before?
yes.
Okay,
Where do we advertise this?
yes.
Where did we advertise it?
Right. How do people know there was a request for proposal out there
We just sent it to different companies telling them.
that do that?
They're hard to find.
Yeah, they are.
So my concern is, how many RFPs do we need to make a decision? I think that's where we only need 2, correct? We can look at it, and we can evaluate these 2.
You don't need any,
No,
I
we
mean,
don't
you only need
Exactly,
one.
all we need technically is 1, that's
Right.
where, we have to, so what are we waiting for, is where I'm getting at.
I
Why
think-
not move forward, looking at these 2, these are 2 reputable companies, I assume, correct? So these are 2 reputable companies, let's move forward so we won't be stuck at the end of the school
Should
year.
this be reviewed by the
looking for,
education committee?
Well, we talked about this during the education meeting. In fact, it brings up to another point too. The education meeting was videotaped, and that tape was not made public.
Correct.
I was gonna bring that up.
And we discussed last meeting why that tape was not made public. Would you
Yes.
like me to reiterate that?
Excuse me?
Would you like me to explain again?
Yeah, it's just the way your sarcasm came off. It's, I wanted to run it past Mr. Khan, and I'm not looking at you, but is that okay for us to basically conceal this videotape?
Well,
That's where I'm getting. That's what it's been presented to me as it was being concealed.
actually, this is a weird little area of the law, and not on the issue that I think the board was concerned about. So first of all, if there's any personally identifiable information about a student, generally speaking, you would not have that out in public.
Sure.
My understanding from that meeting is there was at least 1 student who was on the video. But there's another weird area here, which is the videos are actually considered minutes. And minutes are not public until after they've been approved at some subsequent meeting.
And they were just approved.
Well, we haven't yet, but they wouldn't have been, even without any FERPA concerns, you wouldn't normally release a video of any meeting until after. Now, this will go out live, and it's just a weird little area of the law, but that's how it
But
works.
that's where I'm trying to protect us in a sense that people know the videotape is out there.
Right.
It just.
You're under no affirmative obligation.
And also, on that videotape, there wasn't anyone saying this kid, John Teller, whatever name you make up there. But that happens at almost every meeting, someone mentions their child. And it wasn't us mentioning the child, it was the parent mentioning the child. So that's my concern. I don't know if you've had the chance to see the video.
I have not, and so, but
You may want to do that before we make a decision on selling the video.
I guess my concern is that decision made with the board as a whole, or 1 or 2 individuals making that decision. Why?
It was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting.
I know that, but what I'm saying was, at the committee of the whole, there's no vote.
Right.
So.
It was discussed that
but
we would
what I
do
mean-
nothing with it.
Yeah, what I'm saying is,
That's why we
but it was a
said.
decision made, so was that?
No, well, the decision made was to send it to board members that had not been at the meeting. That is what we did. It went to every person that was not at the meeting.
I'm asking for it to be sent to me because I did not write copious notes during the meeting, and a lot of meetings that are
I'll
videotaped,
happily
I
send
don't.
it to you.
Okay, gotcha.
So if it's regarded as minutes of a meeting and is only to be released officially after it's approved as minutes, where does that vote take place? Does that take place in the education committee meeting? Because that's, okay.
now, normally you would have a policy, so my understanding, and I've never asked about this, but this was kind of a one-off in terms of a committee meeting that got videoed. We don't normally video our committee meeting.
We've started to do them hit or miss.
I mean, we should develop a consistent policy about how we're gonna treat it.
There we go. Then that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. All right, so I just want to be clear, the board is not concealing anything. Let's watch our loaded words and our sarcasm. What we're doing is
I
we,
said that purposely because that's how it was presented for me.
well, I think you should say
That's
that
why-
it was presented to me that way because it sounds like you as a board member are actually saying that.
No, I said that before. When we get the tape, you can see that I said that before. That's
All right.
words to my attention.
Where we
Well,
gonna move
look-
on? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, going back to B9, where are we going
Yes.
with this? Because
Yes.
during the education meeting, we discussed that we were gonna take a look at the 2 RFPs and make a decision tonight.
No, we didn't
Now,
say that.
did we not say that?
No, we said
Okay.
we would look at additional RFP,
That closed on Friday at 5 o'clock or
but
something like that.
additional, so I guess I'm a little concerned.
Sorry, I didn't watch that. I
I'm
usually take
just a
notes,
little
but
concerned
I
how
was
was
supposed to watch the
it
video.
advertised, and I'm not about to slow down the process, but if that's the decision, the majority of the board, I'd rather take a vote so I can vote appropriately where I stand with this.
Okay, we can do that at November 9th meeting. We'll advertise it as a voting meeting.
Well,
There you go.
No, we can do it right now.
No,
Have you reviewed the proposals?
Oh, we don't have it yet?
no, we
All
don't.
right.
Right,
Nobody's-
that's why we can't approve them tonight, because they came in
Okay.
Friday, and we weren't able to get them over the weekend, and even if I got mine over the weekend, I wasn't here, so.
Okay, so you want to move education right along, would that be the first item that we take a vote real quick?
Okay.
Right, and
That's
we'll get,
fine.
and everybody would get the
And then we
proposal
could also have a conversation about releasing the video or not. After our
very
solicitor,
quickly.
after our solicitor has a chance to view it.
I would say, until we release any videos, and plan on doing that, we have a policy about videoing meetings and how they get released.
You got it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay,
All
that's
right.
fine with me. Any other comments on the education committee agenda?
yeah, well, we just approved the minutes for October 9th, whatever, 16th.
Right,
Now, you're talking, the next meeting, we're gonna need to vote. We need David Kahn here, and that's an extra day, because the 20th and 27th, he'll be here on the 27th.
no, but what we're talking about is voting on 2 items on November 9th.
Yes,
which is-
yes, I'm aware of that, so David Kahn will
One
be
item
here.
on November
He's
9th.
gonna
He doesn't
here
need to be here for a vote.
He's gonna be here anyway.
Well, he's gonna be
Yeah.
here anyway.
He has,
Oh, but he
Yes.
doesn't have to stay for the
Whole meeting.
whole meeting.
I get that, but he has to be here for the vote,
No, he only
as our
has,
solicitor.
he only has to be here for the vote previous to the,
We have I'm gonna be here, I can stay for the vote, and I was gonna be here anyway on a different matter, so I will stay for those 2 votes. You don't actually have a board policy that requires me to be here for any given vote, so in those rare circumstances where you need to advertise a vote on some other meeting, you can do that whether or not I'm here.
So,
okay?
But I'm gonna be here then.
We need to advertise
It'll have
this
to be
meeting
advertised.
as a voting meeting.
Correct, you got that, Mr. Coe?
thank you.
All right, anyone else, comments on the education agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Thank you. Ms. Hummel, personnel?
Okay, the personnel agenda remains what you saw in your packet 2 weeks ago and last week, with the exceptions of what's highlighted in bold. That's C1 resignations, C2 appointments, and we discussed these at some length in committee. These are the usual. C3 salary track changes. C4, tenure awards, C5, change in assignment, C6, leave of absence, C7 is an informational item, a summary of recent personnel committee on October 12th. I think I discussed that at the last meeting, perhaps not, but we put together an organizational chart. C8, additional appointments, C9, additional salary track change, C10, additional tenure award, C11, change in assignment, additional to the agenda. That's a motion for that report.
Great, do you have a second?
Yes.
Any questions from the Board of School Board Directors? Yes, ma'am. Ms. Biddy?
I think next year, before we do contracts, we'll have to go over these supplementals where we can really save some money.
well.
Yes, we've discussed that. We will
Yes.
talk about that next contract.
Yeah,
2
I'm
years
talking
from
about
now.
it again. I heard a repeat, but that's me. I'm hearing that we're lacking a teacher. I believe it's a science teacher or, we're lacking a teacher at the middle school,
Spanish, yeah.
Spanish.
Spanish teacher.
We're lacking a Spanish teacher, yes.
Not lacking an English teacher or anything else Spanish. Why are we lacking that? Did that person leave?
Yes, that person who was at the middle school went to the high school because we had an opening at the high school for a Spanish teacher. We've been advertising from the time she was transferred there. There's just no one out there, so we're looking at other ways of covering that Spanish class. We're looking at a blended classroom where we can use part of our cyber program, the license there for the children to learn their Spanish, and then have a certified teacher. We just don't have anybody who's certified with Spanish.
No, my question is, when you're lacking a teacher from one school and you pull them from another school, then you're lacking from that school. Can't you hold a teacher until we find someone for high school?
He retired.
No, I know that. I'm just asking, why do we automatically pull when we know we're lacking at the other end? We should look to hire before they move them. Because really professionally, don't you have to, you can hold their position?
She transferred from the middle school to the
Yes.
high school,
Yes,
so she can do that within the district. So she didn't go to another district. The person that she filled in for retired.
yes.
So she took that, either way, we were going to have a Spanish position open.
On C1 resignations, as red teacher, Park Lane Elementary School. Here we go, special ed. How many people, I think this is a joke question, how many people applied for this position already, or has anybody applied? For page 11, C1.
For Ms. O'Brien, we've already filled that position.
We've had filled, there was about 7 people that they interviewed about a week ago. Dr. Watson Bowie and Amy Dachenko, and the position was filled.
And that's actually on the agenda, isn't it,
Yes,
Mr.
under,
Conley? It's
Position.
actually under the additions that we've already filled that position.
Okay, I can get it for you.
C8, page 24.
Okay, I'll get there. C2. Kevin Paulo. You're in charge of busing there, huh? I'll be calling you. We're having a great problem with busing in East Lansdowne. I know East Lansdowne's very small, 8 blocks long, 3 blocks wide. Problem is the buses are going up the streets where they shouldn't be going up. They're riding over people's lawns, mine in particular. If I catch them again, they got no bus. Okay, so Kevin, I'm sorry that Nick left because me and Nick kept a tight ring. I've had it. It's our town, and they better go where they're supposed to go for safety reasons only. Also, put my specs back on. Short of humble, last time I had the personnel meeting, it was very informational.
Thank you.
You brought out a chart in regards to different things and departments and all. Instead of having that kind of meeting, I used to have a meeting every month, and we discuss about hires and people leaving and how we can fill the seats. There's a lot of people in the district that applied for certain positions, and then now we're not hiring for the position because we're ladder moved, or we're moving a principal from one school to another school, so that position's not gonna be filled. But people in the district that already work here that wanna apply, they can't move up the corporate ladder if they go for an interview and hear nothing. And that's all I keep hearing. So I'd like to know maybe next week if you and I can meet, because I'm on your committee, and discuss certain things that I'm hearing and that I'm seeing, and people are getting exhausted because if they're applying and not getting anything, then they leave.
Right, I think we're at the policy level, so we might want to set a policy or ask for a procedure from our HR director when someone applies for a position and they don't get it. Are they sent a postcard or some kind of acknowledgement that you received their material, not suitable at this time, or whatever is the polite way of saying you didn't get the job, so that they hear something. In terms of who gets hired, that has nothing to do, I think, with me at the board level, or you, for that
Yes.
matter. But you're right. I think we need to know if the people aren't hearing something, that might be an issue, so that they know they were considered, we saw your stuff, it went out.
And also one more thing, and our employees that do work for us, I think they need to get a recommendation saying how well they do. I think in our school district, a lot of teachers, staff, and we talked about this, that they need to feel that they're doing an awesome job. We do have great educators. And I think they need to be told, not just told that, just a letter of recommendation or saying thank you for what you're doing and what have you.
Right.
I think that would be great PR. And I think that the staff needs to know that we as board directors and the superintendent do support you for being out there.
Well, you know, I'm sure you're aware, or I hope you're aware, of the relatively new position of employee engagement person. You know, there's an employee engagement officer in a lot of the big corporations. It is their job to be the feedback loop from employees. Now, we have 3 people in your office who are doing HR for over 500 people, so I don't expect you to order the mugs and get them out to the right places. But could we look at structuring an employee appreciation program, maybe working with Pam together or other departments, so that we encourage what's already being done, because I saw Teacher of the Month already, and I know that there's some things being done within the schools, and make sure that we touch on all the different levels, from the administrators we appreciate to the teachers and other professional support staff, right on down. I don't care if they're hour mark employees, if they're our bus drivers, our cafeteria workers. Let's see if we can come up with something simple where somebody gets recognized every month for something at different levels. And I'd be happy to help with that even after my term is over. I'd be happy to volunteer to put something together, plan or policy.
Any other comments on personnel? Yes, ma'am?
I'm sorry, I had questions during pre-session, but we didn't have one. So I hate to bring out, I just need clarification with regard to the supplementals. All right, so one, I want to know what the word generic means.
So, if I may, a generic supplemental is that we give the elementary schools 18 supplementals. They are to be used at the will of the principal, so he or she can decide what they look like. They look different in every elementary school.
Okay.
So that's why they're called generic.
And that's why I have a slash after generic to say what they're being spent on.
Okay.
So generic art show coordinator is going to be in Ardmore, but they won't have an art show coordinator necessarily in another school. They might have a book fair or whatever the principal wants.
Okay. Hold on, is there a way to, you don't have to answer it now, Charlotte, but I'm just saying, is there a way to combine some of these positions or supplementals? Like, for instance, 42 and 43, to me,
Hold on, let me get there.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, I got it.
I'm sorry, so, hold on.
Right, okay, so I hear what you're saying. You've got a newspaper advisor at the high school, and you've got a yearbook advisor at the high school. And they're the same person. All right, is that what you're talking about, 42,
Hold on,
43?
Well,
Hold on, I'm sorry.
May I say something that will clear all this up? No, we cannot touch these supplementals right now. They are contractual and must be dealt with under the next contract.
Okay, so I'm not saying to adjust anything right now. What I'm suggesting is that we take a look when we have the opportunity to think about combining. Actually, I wanted to say 105.
Okay, let's just go there with you.
I'm sorry, 105 is newspaper advisor, and then we have 42, which is newspaper advisor again, and it's high school.
They're split responsibilities.
Wait a minute.
One is in one building and one is in another.
I totally understand. I'm just asking if it's possible that later on, we can take a look at combining some of these positions and making it an overall one. Because if you look through this, just saying to the school board directors, if you read these supplementals, a lot of them repeat themselves several times. And I just think like when we always talk about spending a lot of money and excess money, we should take a look at, can we cut down or fix or restructure some of the ways that we have our supplemental set up? I'm not trying to take anything, away. I know teachers work hard, but we always talk about money that we just don't have, but yet and still we have repeated supplementals.
Well, let me
in
answer
certain areas.
both of your questions, because they're two different questions.
Okay.
With regard to the supplementals as they exist, Ms. Hoff was right. That has to be dealt with structurally at the time of the contract so that we can adjust those, whether it's how many units, how many years, how much money, or whether we want to combine positions. That all has to be done then. But I can answer the second question as to why you may see a number of the same positions in different buildings, or sometimes even in the same building.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the supplemental is split in half, so it actually is one supplemental, but two people want to share it, because that person's available Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon, and the other person, or they want to work as a team.
Okay.
So they don't get paid double, they split the salary, in other words.
Okay.
And the other thing is, we insisted as a board several years ago that we organize these positions, even if we had to split them, so that there was somebody in both high school buildings.
Okay.
Because we tried to make sure that we could get everybody who wanted to go to a particular club over at Green Avenue, because we only had that club at Green Avenue, or to send it over to Cypress. The busing was a nightmare, and it's hard to get people to, like, let's go back and forth and alternate between buildings. That is also a nightmare. So that's the reason we have multiples at the different buildings, because we wanted to serve both high schools
Okay.
at the same level. But you're right, when that contract comes around, we need to look at this. This has come up every single time.
That's all I
All right,
was.
thank you.
I know we can't make any structural changes
Right.
at this time.
I understand, and I know you know that.
Any other questions on personnel? Hearing none, yes, sir?
Oh, wait, let me stop that.
Wait.
Mr. Wright, as you know, is the chair of the diversity subcommittee of personnel, and he promised me he will be brief, but he would like to make a short report on his committee.
I'll do my best.
Okay, but briefly, sir, please.
All right,
Chair.
are you okay?
We're okay, go ahead.
All right.
You are always
No.
after the length of
No,
meetings, so.
no, I got here today early.
Yes.
All right, I would like to make a report that I attended Black Male Educator for Social Justice, which was organized by the Fellowship to hire 1,000 black males, teachers and administrators in Philadelphia. But this conference went beyond Philadelphia. It was a national movement. I met individuals from all parts of our country talking about the basic same problem, that we're not hiring those of color. And 2% is the national norm, and the rallying call was 2% is not enough. I know the William Penn School District, we are above that, about 25%, if you add male and female, but 2% the male by themselves. So we are 2% with males, and so that has to be, improved. But what I enjoyed about this conference, that many of you know I've been battling this concern for over 15 years. And now I know I'm not by myself. Then I was fortunate enough to attend a panel discussion at St. Joe University, that they feel as though they said the need for teachers of color in American classrooms. It turned out to be a revival. There were 3 young people there, and they the moderator hit the nail on the head, because my wife was there, and she said, Mr. Wright been doing this for 30 years, school board director for 12 years, and I'm pretty sure Mrs. Wright liked him to be home. Well, she volunteered and said, no, he can do both. And I said, she's been asking me to go on a cruise. And the only reason, Mr. Wright, you need to pass the baton. I should not be doing this for the last 15 years. I should have been able to pass the baton. And unfortunately, I don't really see anyone out there in our community willing to accept the baton. But I saw 3 people at St. Joe pass the baton. I told them how proud I was of them. And it became more than just a panel discussion. The question was, what do you think are the salient issue impacting the successful recruitment and retention of teachers of color? Why do you think this is an important issue to address? Can you discuss some strategies you may think prove useful in addressing the issue raised in tonight's conversation? It went from a discussion to almost a revival. There were not too many dry eyes at this panel discussion. I know when we bring a discussion like we want to pretty much go at each other, it was refreshing to see that it was spiritual and love and support. And that it made me feel better that, as I said, I'm not by myself anymore. And I don't want to be by myself. And I like when they say pass the baton, because it made me know I ran track. I ran on a relay. On a relay, you have to pass the baton. If you hold the baton, you get disqualified, your team don't win. So I'm saying, when are we going to pass the baton? That we continue this issue. So my challenge to the school board, to the public, so I can pass the baton, and I can ask maybe Mr. Conley or someone, we need to come out to the November 14th school meeting to talk about how can we improve? What did we do right in our personnel when we hire teachers and principals? What we did right? What can we improve on? How come the candidates? We did find out the candidate came April the 19th was well qualified. So we need to discuss that. And so that's what I'm asking. Because right now, like I said, I do want to pass the baton.
Got it.
And I need the support of this board and all the boroughs to make this happen.
Got it. Thank you.
This is just the same night, the same night as education, right? So
No.
No, ninth is education.
Ninth is education.
why do we have education?
All right, thank you, Mr. Ray.
I don't have minutes.
Thank you.
That was better?
Great. I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Mr. Kevin, can you stand up? Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, it'd be nice to everybody who calls, I know it's hard.
Absolutely.
Property Committee, Transportation D1. We will have a Property Committee meeting this Thursday, 6:30 in this room. Jeff, did you hand out the agenda in our packet? I don't recall seeing.
No.
Okay. I'll email it to everyone tomorrow. Sorry about
Seconds, I
that.
mean.
Okay, you got it.
I move the agenda.
Thank you. May I have a second? Any questions on the agenda? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Thank you. Mr. Cave, Budget and Finance, please.
E1 is our treasurer's report, and E2 is our list of bills.
Great. May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions from the Board of School Board Directors? Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to vote no on the bill list and treasury report at this point.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none. All those in favor? Anyone against? Ms. Fitty, thank you. Ms. Richardson, Policy Committee agenda, please.
Oh, wait a minute. Before we end that, why was the budget committee meeting canceled the other night?
Lack of participation.
Lack of participation?
Yes.
Me and Rafi were the only ones coming.
Excuse me?
Rafi and I were the only ones coming.
Out of 9 board members?
Yes, ma'am.
I could have canceled my parent rep meeting for that.
Okay. May we continue, please?
Yeah, but I just think that's a very important meeting.
I agree. I agree.
That's why I'm
Thank you.
voting no.
Ms. Richardson?
Policy Committee Agenda F1 is the annual review of Policy 918. This is the second reading, and that's Title I, parental involvement for the community, and that's required for compliance with Title I audit. F2 is the first reading of the merged policies you see there. Policy number 248 is unlawful harassment against students. Policy number 348 relating to the unlawful harassment against employees. These two policies were merged into policies 103 and 104. And because of that, number 103.1 is to revise to mirror the complaint procedures of those merged policies. Okay, policy number 150 is the comparability of service, which states that no discrimination occurs in the distribution of resources funded by state and local sources. Also, policy number 819 is suicide prevention, intervention, and response. Because we see an uprise in suicide rate of school-aged kids, this policy was revised to reflect the current research and recommended practice. So those are the policies and questions. A motion to vote on to approve the first reading of policies 103, 103.1, 104, 150, and 819.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. May I have a second?
Second.
Any questions from the Board of School Board Directors? Hearing none? Yes, ma'am?
I think we're having a Ribbon Day in East Lansdowne to talk about drugs.
Could I just vote on policy first, and then you can make that announcement?
Well, that came up on one of the things, I think we could discuss that for the high school kids.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? All right, would you like to make your announcement now?
Well, I think, we're having Ribbon Day coming up for the younger children, talking about drug awareness. And with the suicide rate in teens now, 30-40% So I've gotten in contact with the county and other municipalities, like police officers, to come to the school and talk to our children. And other schools have gone to the high schools, middle schools, and what have you. We need to get out there.
Okay.
A lot of the schools are gonna buy that drug where if they're overdosing on heroin, they can shoot them, yes, Narcan. I would like to see something done up here at the high school and the 9th grade and the middle school, if we can.
To have access to Narcan?
Now, have people come talk to them in regard to drug awareness
Got it.
and what have you. And then the police will have that instrument for the kids if anything should happen.
Got it. Ms. Herbert?
I'll call you tomorrow.
Great. Yes, Mr. Secretary?
Our high school nurses have had Narcan for over a year now. Okay, and we're moving it also to the middle school this year.
Great, thank you very much.
Awesome information.
All right. Solicitor's report.
We will have an executive session brief. I will make it as brief as possible at the close of tonight's meeting to discuss a charter school litigation matter and a tax appeal litigation matter. And in that regard, I'll be the bad guy and just say that means when the meeting adjourns, we do need the room to empty pretty quickly so that we can actually do our executive session. Thank you.
Any old business, Mr. Cobb?
There's no old business.
Any new business, Mr. Cobb?
Come in.
Mr. Wright, a report from Delaware County Community College?
Thank you.
This summer was exceptional with Delaware County Community College. We celebrated our 50th year anniversary. And I've been living here in Delaware County now for about 25 years. And it has been interesting. But I would have to say, when we had our 50th year anniversary, I was proud, although I'm a Democrat, I was proud of the county councilors who came and supported our new president. They sound more radical than myself. Not only did they say the first woman, they said the first African American woman at the school. I could not believe that she was going to get that kind of support. I was very proud that day to see how we was able to respond and for once, not look at color or gender. So I was very proud that day. She's going to be a very exceptional person. I never thought there would be anybody like Dr. Parker. We can come close. The county council said since she was a woman, she'd probably be twice as good. And she's just fantastic. So what I have to pass around so you can read is, I'll come with information. So since I don't have to, I don't want to say I don't have to over talk. And you can read inside her profile. Next, I'm glad Mayor Mosley is here because what Delaware County Community Council is working on outside of dual enrollment, but dual admission. She was at Cheney University, 180 for my wife and myself, anniversary. And unfortunately, I didn't have enough. I did get a chance to show it to our interim president. And so hope we can zoom in. Okay, our buddy. Zoom in. If you could, I only have
You
one.
handed that out at a previous meeting, too.
Here, but
I'm glad you're
here, but this time, I don't know, Cheney University, no, this is new. This is a new one. Cheney University been added. It almost brought tears to my eyes. And I think that was good.
very good.
Say again?
I want one of those.
Oh, they will mail me about 100. Unfortunately, I didn't get it today. You will get it.
Okay.
And so, Delaware County is on the move. Wednesday, because Mr. Connie keeps reminding me, he said, Mr. Wright, you're going to be out every day. Well, it hasn't stopped. I've been out every day, and Wednesday, I will be out Wednesday. It'll be a school board appreciation dinner. And they promised me that they're going to highlight the William Penn School District.
Great. I'll be there also.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Burrell, Delaware County Intermediate Unit?
There's no report.
Thank you, Mr. Burrell. Mr. Cave, Delaware County Legislative Council?
Other than the awesome news about the Supreme Court ruling, which is kind of rules and ruse, we'll talk about two separate bills that are floating. One is called Senate Bill 2. It's called the voucher bill. In the back, it provides essentially tuition credits or vouchers for students who reside in the boundaries of a school district in low achieving schools. Students who use those credits, students and families essentially who use those credits to attend private schools, the money to fund these vouchers is deducted from the resident district's state subsidies or your tax money. So that is expected to come out of the Education Committee either today or tomorrow and hit the Senate floor tomorrow. I've spoken to, it's co-sponsored by Senator McGarrigle. And I've reached out to our other senator, Anthony Williams, and he said, his office said that there's some language in the bill that he doesn't support, but he's looking forward to reading the full excerpt, and we'll have more information probably tomorrow. Another thing to look out for is on the November 7th ballot. There's a question that will appear statewide. They ask whether the Constitution, the Pennsylvania Constitution, should be amended to allow local taxing authorities to exempt homeowners from paying property taxes. It's not, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not an actionable referendum.
Oh, no, it is.
Will it be?
It would be, but the problem is there's the referendum asked for that constitutional amendment, which then they have to actually take another step after that.
Okay.
And it's not tied to any budget replacement mechanism. So that's, it could stall if it passes, but who knows?
Gotcha.
All right. Anything else?
That's it.
Great, thanks. Get out and vote, folks.
I have a question about that bill. I haven't read the bill, Senate Bill 2. What I would like to know is, does the tax money that's allocated to public school districts that would go into a voucher account for a student who lives in our district, does that only apply to current public school students or any student who's already attending a private school or a parochial school?
That's a good question.
It's any
I think it's
student.
district and residence, is that regarding where the student is.
Right, so anybody who's already paying tuition can get a dip into the public tax dollar in order to subsidize. Well, that's gonna help us a lot.
Correct. Thank you all. Comments from citizens regarding non-agenda items, please. Yes?
Good evening, my name is Marie Louise Faber, I'm a Lansdowne resident. I have two things. One, to respond to what Ms. Fitty brought up about the drug issue, I find that starting this conversation in high school is a little bit late. There was a public forum in Lansdowne. I mentioned that to the police, what the possibility is of doing something club-wise or some kind of a program, not just a week out of the year in the elementary schools, district-wide. I think it's warranted and needed. It was something that stuck with me as an elementary school student many years ago, and you know, I think you have to start early. High school is unfortunately too late. I don't even want the Narcan, like there shouldn't be a reason to have that in our high schools, right? So like, let's address the problem right at the beginning when the students are coming into school. The second thing I had was, there's been some discussion at our school about getting the kids out on the playground more often. I came across a policy in the school district policy about that there is actually warranted physical education 60 minutes plus. I had mentioned this to parents in some other schools. It doesn't seem like this is something that's addressed in the schools. I realize it's really hard to have those 60 plus minutes, and that's not including gym, to be put into the school. But it's really important. We have, especially the boys, they can't sit there for that long. They get in trouble because of that, and you get into educational problems. That's not fair on them. These are kids, right? So what can the school board do to address that, to make sure that policy is happening in all of our schools?
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Teachers have to be smart.
Dr. Bruno?
The recommendation of 60 minutes of physical activity a day is the recommendation from the CDC, and it is not a board policy to provide 60 minutes a day. If you look at our wellness policy, what it states is we will provide as much physical education opportunity as possible to contribute to that recommendation of a total of 60 minutes per day.
Okay.
And that's what the wellness policy states.
All right, we'll take another look at the wellness policy. Can you put that in our packet this week, please? Mr. Carpenter?
3 quick questions. Last meeting, we discussed a special assignment at the high school. Has the special assignment ended?
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. The other question, July 14, 2017, an employee moves from Act 93 to teacher, but then August 28, 2017, same employee moves from teacher to Act 93. Were there any interviews of internal and/or external candidates for the position?
Mr. Conley, I'm not sure what he's referring to.
I'm not sure the second part of a teacher going to an Act 93 position.
Your July 24, 2017 board minutes, you took a teacher that was in an acting Act 93 position, you moved them back to the bargaining unit.
Right.
And then 1 month
never left
later.
them.
Yeah, but it's the other one he's talking about. He understands the first one. The second one is the question.
So the second one was 1 month later, August 28, 2017, you moved the same teacher and made them acting Act 93 again. So were there any interviews of internal and/or external candidates for that position?
The same teacher
Yes, same person.
who's moved back to an Act 93 position?
When Ursula went out.
Okay. Right. We can talk about the specifics. I think that's, if it's an individual teacher and stuff, we need to talk about an executive session, but we need to Yeah, or maybe you could outline that for the board and send us what that was.
Any other questions from the public?
But did let us know how they did that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll know.
As soon as we sort
We'll
of
report it out at the next meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
So a couple of things. I just want to say thank you for hiring someone for the buses. Last week was the first time that, last Thursday was the first time my daughter's bus came for, for AT. So we're thankful for that. Another thing is that I didn't have any questions before I looked at the Education Committee agenda, but it looks like, because I've seen these same things on multiple meetings, and it looks like what we're doing is that, or not we're doing, but it looks like what is happening is that it's kind of being basically delayed with our curriculum and looking at our English language arts. So I just wanted to just help you guys just be aware that we are watching, we do see, and this is from the community. We do request like certain things from our board. And so we just thank you guys for keeping it going, but kind of, give us some like finish it.
Yeah,
Because we've been talking about this for like 2 years now, like a year or two now.
Right, we
So-
fast-tracked that in an earlier discussion, that we also know that has to be priority. Our deadline for application for those programs, for those proposals, closed Friday, so we haven't had an opportunity to truly read through them and determine which one we would pick. So what we did was we added it to the agenda for the Education Committee. Prior to that, Education Committee, the board is going to meet to discuss these, and then perhaps be ready to put forward and vote on a selection of them on November 9th.
Okay.
Instead of waiting until November.
Instead of waiting, because, yeah, it's
Right, but we have to wait for that because we need a public voting meeting, and we have to have time to review them. But we didn't want to wait till the November 27th meeting, so we are aware of that, needing to move forward.
Thank you so much.
9th is better than the 27th.
Yes, so no questions, this is for my baby.
I have,
Mr. Burrell's asked to
No, he
speak.
can, no, go ahead.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad she brought that up. One of my concerns is, I did come here today and almost forgot. I would like to see us, so we can have consistency, so we know where we're going, is a strategic plan. We seem to keep avoiding that. When I attended the conference, everyone I talked to had a strategic plan at their school. They're going to forward that information to me. We had a strategic plan. We don't have to have delays in where we're going. We have a curriculum in place. We have a direction. We'll be able to openly to say, not just one child or my child, that we're here for all our children. The strategic plan would address that, not just the AP students, but the underserved students. I rarely hear that. I rarely hear about the underserved students. So, are we going to vote on it? A strategic plan? Because Ms. Harvard will be exiting a couple of years. Strategic plan would be a framework for a national superintendent search. That would be the framework for who is the next superintendent.
Right.
So I don't understand, so I do agree that we delay, but we still don't come up with the right answers or argument. I talked to 4 or 5 people today, and they all said they want to send me strategic plans.
That'd be great. And we should talk about it at our next committee of the whole.
Yes.
And
But
maybe
the point
appoint a
is,
committee.
let me make this clear. Strategic plan is normally led by the superintendent and the curriculum director. Let me make that clear. No, let's make that clear.
Okay?
Right.
Okay.
Not by the chairperson of education.
Got it.
Everybody can participate. We got people out in the audience have expertise. We involve the community. We open up that quality circle.
So we're going to add that to the agenda for
What I'm saying-
conversation for committee of the whole meeting in November. where it's appropriate that we discuss it, maybe see your examples, and develop a framework.
And we act on it.
Yes.
Well, it would have to be the vote of this board to act on, but that's where we will discuss it,
All right, good.
okay?
Yes.
See you at that meeting. Mr. Burrell?
Yeah, just one thing, science kits. I've got a couple of people asking about science kits, that they're for the elementary school, that didn't come in yet.
Science kits, and I'm going to turn this over to Mr. McKay, because the science kits are in now, right?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about the plan that we kind of laid out going forward?
So each teacher grades 1 through 6 will have 2 science kits this year, which was the original proposal. Time frame had to be adjusted because of the supplier issue, not because of anything that happened here in the district. So the first kit arrives this week, or has arrived already, and they'll have them until January 18th. At that point, they're returned because that's the system we use, we lease in this district. The second science kit will come February 5th, and they will be good in the district until May 31st. So the students and the teachers will have plenty of time to do all of the investigations and experiments that are required to make sure that we hit all of the information and standards.
Now that you mentioned that, it was the supplier. Do we benefit any way for these guys being late?
Yes.
Okay.
One of the benefits is we get to keep the kits longer than originally planned. It was supposed to be the first quarter and the third quarter. Now it's pretty much 3 quarters, so we got a whole extra 9 weeks of science.
Okay.
And I've also arranged a little price reduction.
Good job.
Thank you. One more thing, I would like to start, and I've discussed this with Ms. Boykins, community forums, where it's a more friendly environment rather than this table and a gavel and some signs, to sit down and have community conversations. The first date is December 5th. Does that work for the board of directors?
Will this be a sponsorship of the Community Relations Committee?
Yeah. December 5th?
December 5th,
Sure. And what time do we start?
6:30. At the middle school. The first one will be in Derby.
At the middle school?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're gonna be traveling, right, babe?
Yeah.
What day of the week is it?
No, this is not a board meeting, this is a community forum.
I know.
Yes.
I got that.
Tuesday, December 5th. Does that work for everyone?
Hold up.
All right, well, if it doesn't work, let me know.
It doesn't work for me because I have the first month we have a parent rep meeting.
Okay.
That's every month I'm setting that up.
How about Monday, December 4th?
You can't, you're getting sworn in.
Oh, that's it, sorry.
We can go to this. I'll have to, I have to.
No, the 5th she can.
Who can't do it?
Miss-
But it's not a board meeting. It's a community forum.
Okay, so we're gonna work on a date, but it'll be sometime that first week of December. And it's the most that can make it. It's not a board meeting, it's totally optional. All right? Announcements of future meetings. Property, Thursday, October 26th in this room. Community Relations, 6:30, Wednesday, November 8th in this room. Education Committee, Thursday, November 9th, 6:30 in this room. Diversity and Minority Representation Subcommittee, November 14th in this room. Committee of the Whole, Monday, the 20th, 6:30. Business meeting of the Board of School Board Directors, Monday, November 27th in this room. And at that time, we will be saying goodbye, but not farewell, to Mr. Cave and Ms. Hummel for their service.
Can I remind you that we're having a board is meeting at 6 o'clock on the November 9th education meeting date in order to conclude the hearing?
Great.
We all agree to that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's free.
Got motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
And we do need
I'm gonna
a
get
vote, sorry.
Executive session.